morning. I'm going to talk to you today about some classical CDs that you should definitely consider having in your collection. All of them are wonderful recordings and performances of real distinction. I don't have a lot of CDs as digital changes. Like many of you, use Roon software to organize my streaming collection and tracks on my high-res tracks on my server. And I've reviewed a few servers the last couple of months from Inuos, which were just outstanding. But I'm very, very fortunate to have reviewed the MBL N31 CD DAC that you can see right there. It's not cheap, $15,400 US, and sounds every penny of it. Think about a box with no MQA support. If you're a digital file, you'll know about MQA. No SACD support. It's a standard, bog standard Redbook CD playback. Yet it's just an exquisite piece. It really is. It's digital artwork. So I'm going to play, even though I usually go on about vinyl, there's a lot of life left, I think, back in CDs. I think I've been seeing some rumblings over the last little while of people not getting rid of their CD players, great companies making standalone CD players and transports. So I'm not sure that it's going to have the resurgence like vinyl, but I think, don't throw away your CDs. I mean, many of us, including myself, a lot of places wouldn't even accept them, even to give them away, unfortunately. So many people have got rid of their CDs. But if you got them, hold on for them for a while. There's some companies, and I'm going to give you 3 today that have produced some exceptional CDs, again, with really performances of distinction that I think you should grab for your collection if you get a chance. And one independent. It's on the label. I'm just trying to think of the label here. AR is the label, but I'll link them all below so you can, and the websites. So if you get a chance to buy them, I think you'll be delighted. So let's start with this first one. The first one is from Triptych, TRPTK. I've spoken a lot about. They also do vinyl, and I did talk about Nicholas Van Pucker and his Schumann collection, Volume 1, on the vinyl video I just finished. I raved about it because it's raveable. A fantastic performance, but the recording is superb. And even though I have a predilection for vinyl and its sound, and we don't have to get into that, but the sound on this SACD is exceptional. Of course, it can be played on standard CD players, as I'm playing it on mine. And it really is a wonderful performance and a fantastic sound. So let's have a look and see what he's doing. Yes, Carnival, it's all Schumann, Carnival, Fantasie-Stücke, and Arabesque. So that's a really good one. Here's some of the technical stuff recorded in DXD 352. All those amazing numbers. It can be played on any CD player. There you go. Again, Triptych, the most beautiful production and very worthy of your time. The vinyl is not cheap. I think it's about 60 euros. It's a double album, 33. These are much more reasonable. I'm not sure the price, but you can get them right on the Triptych website. And you can also download the tracks, which are very good too. And also, I don't have it here, but right next to the booklet is usually a download card, so you can have the CD and the high-res track. This is another Triptych one. Yukiko Hasegawa, very lovely pianist. Again, Triptych. And she is doing some of my favorites. The Beethoven Sonata No. 31 that everybody knows. More Schumann, Kreisleriana. Have a hard time pronouncing that one. There's also a fantastic piece on here by César Franck, Prelude, Chorale, and Fugue. If you don't know this piece, well, these 3 pieces, but it's always as a group of one piece, definitely have a listen. And you might as well start with Miss Hasegawa's recording. It's really quite exceptional. Let's interrupt with a little bit of indie brilliance here, although it is on the AR label. This is the Hammerklavier Live. Now, there's a million Hammerklaviers. The piece is almost impossible to play. If you know the greatest recording, Schnabel, his fistfuls of wrong notes in it, but beautiful sounding wrong notes. Beth doesn't make any wrong notes. This is Beth Levin. If you're on the internet and you're on Facebook and you're on Instagram, you may have come across Beth. Beth is one of the greatest posters in the short history of Instagram and Facebook, and gives us reams and reams of the most interesting links and artwork and musical examples. She's a Curtis-trained, Rudolf Serkin-trained pianist living in Brooklyn, and she's an amazing pianist. And this is a live version of the Hammerklavier by Beethoven, and it's not as fast as other people play, but the sound is gorgeous. The piano sound is wonderful, and her interpretation is really, really good. Recorded live in concert in 2019. This is really worth looking for. Oh, it's Idela Records. There you go. And I'll link it below. I'm going to call this one the best artwork I've seen on a CD. Again, another triptych CD. This is the artwork is by Brendan Heinz. He's a Canadian living in Holland, because Triptych is based in the Utrecht, Netherlands. Again, uses all these wonderful young Dutch artists. Martin van Hees is a guitarist. I'm not sure he studied, I think, in The Hague and in Amsterdam. Brilliant technician. Beautiful sound, captured gorgeously by also Brendan Heinz, who's also the recording engineer. Can you imagine being that talented to be able to do artwork? And the whole design, like, look at that. That's amazing. And Martin's doing a whole load of modern music. Let's see if I can get that focused. There we go. And it's very accessible. Louis Andriessen, who just passed away, probably Holland's most famous modern composer. But this is a really wonderful recording, and was just reviewed in Audiophilia by Jesus Gonzalez Morial, who is our newest reviewer from Mexico. It's a wonderful reviewer, and he loved it. And I don't blame him, because it's a fantastic CD. Demo for audiophiles, demo quality for guitar, classical guitar. And it's called Remgewogen. So you have to check out the notes to find out what that means. Continuing one more with Triptych. This is, isn't that a stunning cover, that beautiful blue dress? Maya Fridman is a cellist based in, of course, the Netherlands, where this is based. And this is she's a really very fine cellist. And this is modern music with sampled tapes and other things. And before you go running for the hills, because I know what a lot of people, James Galway, the great flute player, calls it squeaky gate music. But this is not squeaky gate music. This is very beautiful, very moving music. This piece especially, Light is Calling by Michael Gordon, written after 9/11, is really very moving, wonderful. And this is Wake Up and Die, also extremely good, by John Tavener. John Tavener was a composer, and yes, he told us in the pub that he was related to the original John Tavener from, I think, the 1500s. But John Tavener was a fantastic composer based in London, Greek origins, and wrote a lot about with the Greek Orthodox liturgy based on it. And used to drive around in a white Rolls Royce and have a big white cape, and really played the composition professor at Trinity College of Music in London, where we were. And he was an amazing professor. Students absolutely followed him around like little ducklings, and a fine teacher. And of course, he's a fantastic composer. And this is a very good piece, Wake Up and Die by John Tavener. But this one, yeah, and of course, just get it for the cover alone. And Maya Fridman just happens to be the wife of Brendan Heinz, who runs let's get into one of the greatest gifts for digital in the last 15, 20 years, and that is Esoteric. Esoteric is in Japan, and it's a famous company that does the most wonderful, very high-end components, CD players, transports, amplifiers, preamps. But they also have a team that remaster on, again, let's see if we can get that focused. I'm going to up my equipment, I promise you. There we go, Super Audio CD. Anyway, they get pretty well, bog standard CDs, Red Book, and remaster them. And they do such a wonderful job. I've heard nearly all of these Esoteric reissues, and there's not one dud among them. And this one has Martha Argerich. Well, everyone knows Martha. Notice that she's top of the bill. Martha doesn't go second to anybody, but she's a legend. She's a goddess at the piano, and she sounds it here. But the treat here is Misha Maisky, who's very well known to cellists. I promise you we'll have some other instruments. We're going to piano and cello a lot, but for some reason these instruments sound wonderful on digital. But Misha Maisky is a Russian cellist and just has the most exquisite sound. And he starts the Arpeggione Sonata. The Arpeggione was a kind of a cello-like instrument in the time of Schubert. And Schubert wrote this famous sonata for it, which is so melodic. And it's exquisite. The sound is just beautiful. And it's heading way up there in the vinyl ranks. Like if you can get this on vinyl, I doubt that it would sound better than this fantastic SACD. Again, I'm hearing it only on the standard CD player, and it's on all the time. It's so good. This is one from Berlin Classics. This is Concerto Köln, or Concerto Cologne, which is a early music group from Cologne, Germany. They actually visited Victoria, British Columbia, here on the island last year, just before the COVID broke. And they did a concert for the Vancouver Island Early Music Society, and it was brilliant. My goodness, what an exceptional group of musicians. Technique and sound and interpretation, very, very passionate. Directed from the concertmaster's desk. And they played a lot of these. This is concertos for violins. Let's see what's on there. Vivaldi and Bonporti and Valentini. Lots of Venetians. And it's wonderful. But it's a special. It's Berlin Classics. But it's actually, if you look... Oh, sorry about the equipment. It's produced and recorded by MBL, which is that CD player right there, the CD DAC, by Jürgen Ries, who is the head honcho, chief cook and bottle washer at MBL. He designs everything. And, Jürgen's a genius. Let's not beat around the bush. And his equipment he designs, it's not just looks incredibly beautiful, but it sounds the same. And his recordings, excuse me, his recordings are very similar to his equipment. Just beautifully produced, sounds wonderful, great notes. Let's have a look and see on the inside what we've got here. Yeah, just a single CD. Definitely worth looking for this. I promise you, I'm not a cellophile. I love cello, but this is another cellist. It's interesting, since Brendan Heinz is married to a cellist, it's amazing that he has different cellists. They must be very self-aware and confident in their own abilities, because Maya's a brilliant cellist, but so is Joachim Eilander, I guess it's pronounced. Joachim Eilander. And this is called Dark Fire, very mysterious name. Again, triptych. This is an interesting CD because it's got Gaspar Casado, who's a more mainstream, but it's got some very interesting repertoire. This Partita for Solo Cello by Sagan. He's one of the, I think they call him the Turkish Five, one of 5 composers that brought a lot of Western music and developed Western music composition in Turkey. And he died a few years ago, I think, but he's worth looking up on Wikipedia. But this Partita for solo cello is fantastic. And again, beautifully played. And the recordings that Brendan does are just really to die for. That one's worth looking for, Dark Fire. I've saved my 2 favorites to last. The first one is this. Another esoteric. This is a very famous set of recordings. This is 9 symphonies by Mozart, including the, let's see what's on it. So we've got 25, 29, 31, 35, 36, 38. Then, of course, the last 3 great symphonies, 39, 40, and 41. You know, he wrote those last 3 symphonies in 6 weeks. Can you imagine writing 3 of the world's greatest pieces of music in 6 weeks? Staggering. Brilliant performances by the Berlin Phil. But Karl Böhm has an incredible reputation because of his Mozart and his Wagner, the German repertoire, and there's not many better than Karl Böhm. He's a pretty well, not the most exciting in a rehearsal. Try and YouTube his rehearsal with the Vienna Philharmonic of Richard Strauss' Don Juan. You'll see what I mean. It'd be quite difficult to rehearse under him, but he got results. But this recording, again esoteric from the original Dutch gramophone, is very, very fine, splendid. And I listen to this often. Absolutely gorgeous in every way. Which brings me to my final selection, and this should be a must in everyone's collection. This is the triptych version of 12 Fantasias for Viola da Gamba by George Philip Telemann, played by Ralph Russo. Ralph is a bass player originally and played with the Concertgebouw Orchestra of Amsterdam, the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra, which means he's one of the best bass players in the Netherlands. But he's also switched to viola da gamba, which is a completely different instrument. The viola da gamba is much like a cello, but supported between the knees, no spike, and uses a different bow and uses a different grip. And it's a beautiful sounding instrument. And Ralph is a master. And this recording, when I first put it on, I got a whole selection sent to me from Brendan Heinz at Triptych to have a listen to. And this was the first CD I put on. Again, SA CD, but playing on a CD player. And the sound just blew me away. Just the ambiance, the acoustic. They're all recorded in these beautiful Dutch churches. Oh my, they're just fantastic. But it wasn't just the recording, which is tops, or the performance, which is equally brilliant. But the music is just fascinating. Telemann was he composed at the same time in Germany as Bach. In fact, Bach was one of his very good friends. Bach had his gig in Leipzig at the St. Thomas Church, and that's where he wrote a lot of his music, and he had the safety net of being the music director and money coming in. Telemann did a lot of his, most of his money with composing, but had a hard time with his publishers. So he got a subscription series going, like the Netflix of 1725. He was based in Hamburg, and these 12 Fantasias for Viola da Gamba were lost until 2016, when a cellist found them in Osnabrück. Osnabrück is a small town in Westphalia, Germany, where I used to live for 6 years when I was a little guy. And how lucky we were, because they're spectacularly beautiful. And Telemann is a very fine composer and kind of really overshadowed by Bach a lot of the times. But I can tell you, he wrote Telemann also wrote 12 Fantasias, or Fantasias, as I call it, for flute as well. And they are monstrously difficult. And the reason they're really difficult is technically they're challenging, but there's no markings. There's no dynamic markings. There's no phrase markings, no marks of expression, which means the music, the dots are on the page, and there's you and a music stand and your instrument, and that's your lot mate. And you got to interpret them. They're very challenging. So if you get a chance to hear them, he also wrote fantasies for harpsichord as well. So flute, viola da gamba, and harpsichord. But this is a must for your collection. If I was going to tell you, usually I just say if you get a chance, blah, blah, blah. But this one, go buy it. It's absolutely superb. Hey, thanks for listening. Much shorter today, only 20 minutes, thank goodness. Last time the vinyl one was 35 minutes. Again, stay safe, and wherever you are in the world, let's hope this is over soon. And see you on the next video.